Good? Oh, we don't have sound yet.
Now we should.
Now we have sound. There we go. And it popped up. Check the sound. Okay, we're good. We got sound. All right. Yeah, we're a little late. My camera guy was busy working and didn't realize what time it was. Just getting ready to text him, and here he come. So, oh, you know what? Yep, I'm on. Okay. We're good. All right. Diet Coke sound check. Yeah, I promise I'm not getting paid by Diet Coke. It's just what I drink. So, welcome back to the T350 show. Haven't seen everybody for a couple weeks. Happy New Year. Hope everybody had a good Christmas and New Year. Anybody get anything good for Christmas? What did I get? I got a new release for my bow. I've been using a trigger release for years. The wrist strap with and invariably when you're reaching for the trigger, you want to come forward and start to let off the bow. So you have to consciously make this, to just move your finger and right. So everybody's these thumb releases, and man, I tell you what, I tried it. I shot it this past weekend for the first time, and I'm like, whoo, I'm never going back to a finger release like that again, because it fits in your hand like a pair of brass knuckles, and the release sticks out here, and you have a plunger right here. So you pull back, and you're not reaching for a trigger and invariably pulling your hand forward. You just click, click, and man, I tell you what, I really like that. And what else did I get? I got a gambrel with a chain, the hoist to haul deer up in the garage so I can start cleaning my own deer, start processing my own deer. The price of processing deer has gone through the roof, and at $125 a piece, if you get 2 or 3 a year, it starts to add up to some real money. So I'm collecting all the stuff to start processing my own deer. Right now, all I need is a nice stainless steel table, and I'll be good to go. I've got a knife set, I've got the gambrel, I've got a sausage, I got a grinder and a sausage stuffer, and I've got a vacuum sealer. So now all I need is the stainless steel table to do it all on. Let's see. Sean says, I recently assembled a lower. Cannot get the buffer spring retainer detent pin. Will not hold the buffer and spring in place. Let me see. Let me read that again. Recently assembled a lower, and I cannot get the buffer spring retainer detent pin. Will not hold the buffer and spring in place. I'd probably need to see a picture of it, but it sounds like maybe the tube isn't screwed in far enough. I'm not. Huh? No, we would need a lower, but yeah, the buffer tube is supposed to just kind of hang over the edge of the detent and hold it down in place. But if you go too far, then your lower won't close completely, or your upper won't. Your two pieces won't close completely. Yeah, I'd need to see a picture of what you got going on, but I think Russ is right. It sounds to me the way you described that like you need one more turn going in to hold the detent in place. So, but yeah, if you want to send a picture over on the messages on BYOAR, I'll have a look at what you got going on there and see if I can diagnose it visually or take a quick video or something, see what you got going on. So, then we had a New Year's party. We went to, we had a big Western themed New Year's party at the campground. And, man, we had so much food. Oh my goodness. I never seen so much food. And, we had a good time. A bunch of people from the campground all got together, and there was about 70, 80 of us. We had a real good time.
You stayed up late last night.
Yeah, I made it till 2 o'clock in the morning on New Year's Eve, which is like unheard of. I'm telling you, I'm in bed by 9 o'clock. And then I stayed up till midnight last night watching the Steelers put it to the Browns. Watch Ben put it to the Browns one last time. It was, I'm a big Steelers fan, and it's sad to see him go. It's been a run. It's been a run. We've had a hell of a quarterback for 18 years, and now we're not going to have him no more. So, I hope we go in search of, because I don't think Mason Rudolph is the answer. I could be wrong, but I don't think Mason Rudolph is the answer. But hey, you know what? I trust in that team. Has always come up with the good players, right? They draft extremely well. Whoever gets paid to draft in that front office, they don't pay him enough. So I got a game camera and whiskey stones for your bourbon. Okay, yeah. What kind of game camera? I use Spy Point. I'm telling you, I've always had the regular ones where you got to go out and get the stick out of them and get the kit, take it home and get the man. I got it. I've got the cellular cameras now, and they just transmit the pictures right to my phone, and I love it. I love it. I was sitting there last night watching the game, and I was getting pictures of a big 8-point buck. He was out at my let's see if I can pull it up here real quick, and I'll show you. He's got a couple more weeks to get through and survive, and he's going to be a stud next year. So here we go, right? Yeah. He's in there last night. So if he can make it through a few more weeks, he's going to be a bruiser next year. I'll be looking for him next year. So, oh yeah, the Moultrie. Okay. I've heard good things about the Moultrie. The Spy Points, mine was a little glitchy at first. You got to watch the software version. Every time they do an upgrade to the software version, you got to make sure you're doing that upgrade, because they get glitchy when they have a new software package running back at the server, and you don't have the same software package. You don't have the same what is that update running in your camera, the same version. They get a little screwy, so you got to make sure you keep up with the updates. And with the Spy Point, it's real easy. You just download it onto the memory stick, insert the memory stick, and it does it automatically. Then you pull it out, and bam, you're good to go. So, but yeah, you definitely want to keep up with those with the cellular cameras. But the cellular cameras are great. Let's see, deer tracks, bear. Yeah, bear, huh? Black bears aren't bad. Yeah. I'm not a big bear. I've never hunted bear. I've tried bear a couple times, and I didn't really care for it. And I'm a strong advocate of if you're going to hunt it, you eat it. And since I don't care for bear meat, I'm kind of indifferent about hunting it. So, screwed the tube in too far. Like I said, send me a picture, and if it's screwed in too far, then usually the two pieces won't close. Usually the tube's interfering with the upper closing, and then you maybe the detent is down all embedded and buried in there. But usually I don't think they'll bury all the way that you could screw the. Well, yeah, they can, because you got to be able to clear the tube. So yeah, you may be in too far. Let me take a look here. Yeah, just a little detour. Oh, yeah. Okay, yep. You're in just one turn too far. You are right. Can't tell if, yeah. Is that notched? It's hard to tell if that's notched. But yeah, it looks like you might be in one turn too far. Back it out one turn. And usually with the straight tubes like that, they just kind of hang over the edge, maybe 25 or 30 thousandths. It doesn't take much to hold them in there. Yeah, you just want to catch the major diameter of the detent. You don't want to screw it in so that it's all the way up against the little stud, the little point. If you're up against the stud like that, then you're in just a little too far. If you're all the way up against that notch and it's rubbing, it may not be allowing it to come back up and seat in place. So, geez, where were we? 2 weeks ago, we talked about gun cases, right? Yeah, we talked about gun cases and bags and range bags and AT or the TSA requirements and blah, 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 all that good stuff. So, we thought we would take a look. I need to get my deer gun put away for the year since gun season is over here in Ohio. And I wanted to get my gun cleaned up before I put it away. And I thought it would be a good time to talk about the Bolt Carrier Group and how to disassemble it, how to inspect it, clean it, and put it all back together and get it ready to put away for the year. So this is out of my 350 Legend. This is an FN competition nickel boron Bolt Carrier Group. Nickel boron is nice. It makes it a little easier to clean. This thing's pretty dirty. It's, you know, they get amazingly dirty pretty quick. You know, I don't think there's 40, 50 rounds on this, and it's pretty dirty. You know, I don't know that we will get into the left-handed stuff. It's so nichey, and there's a couple companies that are doing it, and it's just very, very nichey, and there's not a huge market for it. So I don't know that we would. Never say never, though. So I am going to put on some gloves here just to keep my hands from getting covered with solvent and smelling like hoppies, and then also to keep my hands from getting stained with all the black carbon that is associated with this. Totally up to you if you want to wear gloves or not, but plus, you know, you're dealing, there's a lot of lead residue here, okay? And if you're doing this a lot, lead is poisonous, right? And you get lead in a kind of a liquidy form like that in with the sludge and the oil, and it seeps into your skin. You could end up with lead in your system. So, you know, the gloves definitely can't hurt in that regard. So, how to take a Bolt Carrier Group apart. So the first thing is there's a little cotter key here, a little cotter pin, and it holds the firing pin in place. So you just take something, anything, a knife, a pick, a small pin, you know, anything that's going to get you up underneath there to hook that, and you pull that out. And then your firing pin falls out. So you can see pretty quickly how dirty things are, right? You got that. Now push the actual bolt itself all the way in, and you're going to see the cam pin here. The cam pin needs to slide out. With the firing pin out, you can now rotate the cam pin 90 degrees, and using your knife again, you can pull that. It just clear. Now, if it's turned the other way, you can see it's not coming out, right? There's no room for it to come out. So you have to rotate it 90 degrees. And then, if I had fingernails, right, boom, and there you go. Then the actual bolt itself is going to slide right out. So now, if you're a machinist or you know a machinist, get your buddy to get you an end mill holder, 3/4 inch, 5/8 inch end mill holder, and you can drop that bolt right in there, and you can put it in a little solvent and let it soak for a few minutes. Okay, that's going to break up. If this isn't too bad because it's, you know, if you leave that stuff sit on there for a long time, the carbon starts to dry up and get hard. Okay, that's when you're going to need some solvent to break it up. But this one hasn't sat for real long, but, you know, just kind of showing you the easiest way to do, you know, take something that, and while you're working with the rest of this stuff to clean it up, you can go ahead and let your bolt soak in that solvent. So we'll take this and wipe this all down real good, getting everywhere we can. And you can see, you know, obviously start to see how dirty it is. Okay, I'm going to take one of my rods here and a little rag, a little patch, and I'm going to go in and start cleaning. Okay, right? See? Really, even for just 40 or 50 rounds, it's pretty dirty. I'm going to get that in there as deep as I can, work it all around. I'm going to do the same thing, come in from the back side. Take a look down in there with some light. So there's a little bit of carbon build up in the bottom down in there. So don't use anything that's hard metal because you don't want to scratch your bolt carrier group up. You want to use something that's soft like these brass. Kind of scrape at it. Okay, we'll put the rag see, the more you go at it, the more you get. So all the while, like I said, you know, this is sitting in the solvent, and if this was really gummed up and had a lot of hard carbon in it, I'd probably do the same thing with this. Get yourself a little Tupperware container and pour solvent all over it and just leave it sit in there for a little while. Let that solvent break that carbon up. I haven't tried. Has anybody tried the ultrasonic cleaners where you put them in the salt, they put the solvent in there and it kind of heats it up a little bit and then it just vibrates at a super high frequency and breaks all that stuff up? It looks pretty cool. I have not tried one, but obviously would like to. With some green, simple green. Okay, that's pretty good. We're going to take a and stick the rag, stick a patch in the gas keyhole. Q-tip works real good for that too. I'm surprised that's pretty clean in there. Amazed how clean that is in there. Okay. Got to... Yeah. So this ultrasonic cleaners work. So while you're, cleaning here, obviously you want to check for damage, right? Check for uneven wear. Starting to get a little wear here on the riding surfaces. It's not bad yet. It's not worn down through the coating yet, but it's definitely showing a little bit of wear. You want to check and make sure your gas key is still, the stakes are still good. The screws are still held tight. Everything feels good there. Check your firing pin for any damage. Starting to get a little wear around where the cotter key rides. Nothing bad. I don't feel anything. It's all visual. Firing pin itself is not starting to mushroom over, so that's good. Take the cotter key and clean it up. Everything is just oily and dirty. Yeah, I guess I hadn't thought of that. What kind of chemicals will affect the nickel boron? I don't think much will affect nickel boron. Nickel boron's a pretty rugged coating. It's like almost like a chrome. It's put on electromagnetically. Okay, check your cam pin. You can see, I don't know if you can see it on here, but starting to get a little wear right up there. Just a little ledge. It's not bad. I've seen way worse. But just starting to ledge a little bit where it cams. Probably good for a while still, but that's going to need replaced before too much longer. Okay. That's that. That's that. That's that. Now we get to the good stuff. Let me turn this upside down for a minute and get a little solvent on the other end of it. My knife out of the way. We're going to cap that. Okay. Now, before I do anything disastrous like knock this over and spill this everywhere, I'm going to put that right back in the bottle and cap it, because invariably I will knock that over and I will send solvent everywhere. Okay, so how to take the bolt apart. The ejector, okay, is held in by this pin right there, and take a little 1/16 inch drift pin. You put your thumb right there over top of it and give just a little bit of a push down, and that pin slides right out. Okay, then your ejector comes out. Okay, now as far as I'm not going to take the gas rings off, because most of the time you'll damage the gas rings trying to pry them off of there. You'll bend them. You'll do something to them. I will show you how to inspect to make sure that they're still good here when we put it back together. The biggest thing you want to make sure is they're just like the piston rings on a car, okay? And you want to make sure that they're not all in a line, okay? There's a slight opening on every one of them. There's 3 rings. I don't know if you can see. There's an opening in the ring, there's an opening in the ring, and there's an opening in the ring right there. And what you don't want, just like on a piston rings on a car, you don't want all 3 of them lined up, because it's going to allow gas to escape past through that channel. You've created a channel for gas to escape. So you want to make sure that the 3 rings themselves, or the 3 openings, are not lined up. And you can move these around with a little pick like that, okay, so that you got one here, and one there. Okay, so 45, 90 degrees apart, whatever. And as long as they're mobile and they can move back and forth and they can spin around, you're in good shape, okay? If you leave too much carbon in there and these things get seized up and they don't want to spin around and they don't want to go mobile, it's time to get them out of there and get them replaced. And I'll show you how to check them for wear when we get this put back together, and that'll tell you too if you need to replace them. So we got that apart. Now, most of the time I'm not going to take the ejection pin out if I don't have to. If there's no problem with it, okay, it's moving good, it's not jamming up on me, I don't have any ejection issues. But for the sake of the show here, I'm going to show you, go ahead and show you how to do that. Okay, if you don't have the right tool to do it, it's going to be kind of difficult. Okay, so these Real Avid bench blocks are nice. You've got a place here for it. You drop it right in there, and you use this tool to compress, and then there's a little drift pin in there, and you just oh, I came off. There we go. There's a little okay. Now that pin is out, and you want to slowly back this off. Okay. Then the ejection pin itself is going to come out. And then there's a spring behind it. Okay? That's that. Now, if you need to replace that, it's very easy to do at this point. My spring looks in good shape. No damage, it's not broke. My pin looks good. There's no wear to any of my pins. Everything looks good. Now I'm going to check my lugs to make sure all the lugs are present. There's no cracks. There's no pieces of lugs missing. And there is not. Everything looks good. I'm going to use a little wire brush here. Get all that carbon down in the little nooks and crannies that you can't get. The solvent has hopefully broken it all up. Okay. Hey George, how you doing, bud? Okay. Now we're going to look at it under the light here real good. Make sure all of our carbon deposits, there's no chunks and pieces of stuff caked in there. We'll take a little, and we'll get in here with a little rag, a little patch. Clean that all out real good. If you got access to some compressed air, which we don't in here, you can blow everything out real good, dry everything up. That's my compressed air. Okay. Everything looks good. Rings look good. I don't have a lot of carbon. You get a lot of carbon deposit built up here. They make a scraper tool that you can buy to scrape that carbon off of there, but I don't have very little carbon on there. You know, if you have a lot of carbon buildup on there, you can work it with a scraper. Those scraping tools are really nice. You just slide it in there and give it a couple spins, and not using anything hardened steel because you don't want to scratch the thing up. You just want to scrape the carbon off of there. Hey, there's quite a bit on there. There's more than I thought. Still keeps coming. Yeah. Sonic clean. That sonic cleaner is supposed to be real good at removing all of that stuff. The vibration, the ultra high frequency vibration really breaks all that stuff up. Put the patch down in there a little bit. Okay. I'm going to put just a drop of oil down in here. Work it all around. And we're going to begin the reassembly process. Let's make sure our spring is good and clean. The pin. Okay, so there's a notch in this pin that lines up the long end goes out. You're going to push that in. Then you're going to drop it back in there. And you should be able to look through and you'll see, as it's too hard to see on the camera, but as you look through that little hole, you'll see that the pin is in the way, and as you screw this in, all of a sudden you'll see the hole. It's like an eclipse. All of a sudden the hole becomes a hole. You'll see the whole round diameter of the hole not interfered with the pin. And then you're gonna slowly put your pin back in place using your small pin just to recess it. Okay. Now, make sure you still have plunge, right? It's not locked up. It's not. Okay. Now, we're going to clean up the extractor. So what I'm looking for here is to make sure that the extraction lip right here is nice and sharp. Okay? It's not ripped away anywhere. There's not pieces of it missing. And boy, look at the carbon that's coming out of there. Huh? Look at that. Now you get too much carbon build up in there, you can certainly get extraction issues because it doesn't want to grab the lip of the shell, and then it wants to ride over top of it. So you clean all the carbon out of there. Make sure you got good sharp lips. Your spring is good. It has some compression to it, and it does. Okay. We're going to go ahead and just the exact opposite of what we did. We're going to put our thumb back on top of there, drop the pin in, and then push till the pin is completely seated. Okay. Now, put some oil on our rings. Put some oil there, and there. And that's another reason why I like to wear gloves, because this can get a little messy, right? We're going to oil that whole thing up real good. Now, remember, ejector pin in, extractor out. Okay. And we bring it out enough so that we can drop our cam pin in. We turn our cam pin 90 degrees. We extend our bolt. We drop our firing pin back in. Put our cotter key back in. And that's it. Now, that those are good and oiled, right? We've worked that oil in there a little bit. This is how you test the gas rings to make sure that they're not worn out. A Bolt Carrier Group should stand up on its own. It should support its own weight when you set it down on its face, right? If it doesn't support its own weight, what happens is it does that, okay? If it falls under its own weight, then it's time to replace your gas rings. They're getting worn out, okay? If you have to push down on it like that, your rings are still good, okay? And then rub the whole thing all over real good with oil, and it is ready to put back in my gun and put away for the year. Well, probably not for the year. You know, depending on how humid your basement is, if your gun safe is in your basement or wherever it might be. Yeah, it's a, you know, little trick. You can look it up. It's on YouTube. There's a lot of places, right? That just, and then if it's supporting its own weight, it's good to go. If you got to push on it and then it collapses, your rings are still good. Now I don't have to push on it very hard, so they're getting close. I probably get another season out of these, but I bet by next year it'll be a show how to replace the gas rings. And that's it. That's the care and maintenance and cleaning and re-oiling of your Bolt Carrier Group. And we'll get everything put away here. And then take all your used stuff, wrap it right up inside the glove, and there you go. Nice, neat little package ready to throw away. And then you can give this to the wife to throw in her washing machine with her. I don't. I throw these. I use these until they're pretty well used up, and then I throw them away. You can buy a whole bag of these things at Napa or somewhere for, you know, yeah, a couple bucks a rag. You know, they're not worth trying to clean. Use them until they're no good no more, and then just throw them away. Because with all that solvent and stuff on there, you try to put that in your washing machine, your wife is not going to be happy. Yeah, right. Smell like the military laundry. Okay, my solvent's closed. Not going to have any accidents. Everything's good to go here. Everything is good. Okay, so my Bolt Carrier Group is cleaned, inspected, ready to go back in the gun and put away. Like I said, depending on how humid your basement is or where you store your guns, I do keep a dehumidifier in my guns in the basement, and a small desiccant, some desiccant bags in my gun safe itself to keep down the moisture and try to inhibit the rust. You know, June or July, I'll pull it back out, pull the guns back out, check them, make sure nothing's rusting up on me, and re-oil everything and put them away, and I'm good to go until next deer season again. And then the ones, obviously, that don't get enough time between them to worry about rusting, the ones that are out getting shot a lot during the summer, that's a whole nother story. Okay. That's that. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Real easy to disassemble a Bolt Carrier Group, inspect it, clean it, put it all back together. And, you know, proper maintenance of your firearm is, you know, it's a must. It's one of the things we like to teach you, how to build, how to maintain, how to upgrade, because, you know, you don't want to be, this is my hunting rifle, right? And I don't want to be out in the woods with a big 12-point buck staring at me, and I pull up and nothing happens, right? Something has malfunctioned because I didn't maintain it properly, and I miss out on the trophy of a lifetime. You know, that's enough to make a grown man cry. So appreciate y'all joining us this week for the show. Again, hope everybody had a happy new year, and we're going to make it a good year. Hopefully we get past all this stuff that's going on right now. We get past all this COVID stuff, and we come out the other side of it. We'll be in Vegas in a couple weeks at the SHOT Show. We won't have a live show in 2 weeks. We'll have some pre-recorded snippets of setting up some stuff going on at the SHOT Show, and then we'll talk about some more about the SHOT Show when we come back. And we always get big piles of swag when we go to the SHOT Show. So, you know, hats and T-shirts and stickers and just all kind. You know, we just get a ton of stuff. So we're going to have a nice little swag giveaway. We'll have 3 little packages and one nice little package of swag to give away when we get back and do that show. His company's going out to the SHOT Show. Where you work, James? Machine shop, I'm assuming. So So yeah, we'll look for some, and we'll try to go get some pictures up for our guys at the marketing team from Vegas. And if we have the ability to pop in once in a while and go live, if something really cool is, oh, okay, you work for Peterson Cartridge, awesome. You know, if we have we see somebody cool or somebody famous, right? Was it 2 years ago we saw Chuck Norris? Chuck Norris is the Glock guy, so we saw Chuck Norris, and we've run into some Jesse James. We saw Jesse James the one year. So, you know, we might pop in live, do a little, hey, how you doing? See what's up. As long as the Wi-Fi, if we're down in the basement, we probably won't have, you know, it can be a little sketchy down there. So we'll see. But next week we are going to, man, I don't remember. We've been gone too long. Wow, I don't remember. We'll have a show, right? We'll talk about guns in some capacity. It's right on the tip of my tongue. I know it is. Oh, we're going to do the A2 upgrade. I got an A2 upper with the plastic clamshells and the big A2 front sight post. We're going to show you how to take that A2 front sight post off, take those clamshells off, and free float handguard that thing. So it's a pretty common question. We get asked that a lot. You know, I bought this 5.56 Ruger 5.56. I bought this Smith & Wesson M&P. It's got these plastic clamshells on it. I can't attach anything to it. I want to put a light on it. I want to put a laser on it. How do I get one of these on there instead of those plastic clamshells? And you start to explain it to them. You know, you got to do this. You got to take this off. You got to take these pins out. You got to knock that. And they go, you know, that sounds like a lot of work. I don't know if I want to get into all that. It's really not. If you have the right stuff to do it, it takes a couple simple little tools. The right tools is the key, but if you have the right tools, a couple the time and a couple of the right tools, it can be done in about 10-15 minutes, and I'm going to show you how to do that. It's really not that difficult. None of this stuff is that difficult. Don't lose too much at the casino. Yeah, well, you know, you go to Vegas and you look at all those big buildings and the lights and the glitz and the glamour, and you're like, this place wasn't built on people winning lots of money and taking it home. That place was built on the back of losers. Now, I take a few $100 with me, and, you know, I plan on losing it. 2 years ago, I took $250, and I came home with $250, and I gambled a couple, 3 nights. So, hey, I was a winner as far as I was concerned. I came home with what I went with. You can't ask for more than that. Well, you could. You could ask to go home with more than you came with, but... All right, so we'll see you guys next week. We're going to do the A2 upgrade, and appreciate you guys as always being here. Welcome to the new year, and we're looking forward to a lot of cool stuff this year. We'll see you guys next week. Remember, you don't have to be an expert to build your own AR, to upgrade it or maintain it. We're here to help you do that. We'll see you guys next week.